Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary Ashton. And this is the TWitWoW weekly recap. Um, yeah, and you know what? If you would have told me last week that I'd have a good bit of wrestling to talk about, I wouldn't have believed you. It's gotten to the point where I'm wondering if we should revise that intro some. But it's been around for years. But thankfully, the wrestling portion of the show, I'm in a good mood. I have stuff that we can talk about, and it's not forced. I genuinely enjoyed the stuff that I chose to watch. There were things that I noped out of, and I think, it's a lot like when you and I put a stardom card together. We know what we like, we know what we don't, and we put out the best possible product when we focus on what we like. It's really that simple. So I watched SmackDown. Gonna be super straight with everybody. Don't really remember it. All I remember is fucking the finish, the final matchup. The last time is now finals. Gunter versus, I got it right. Gunter versus LA Knight. He's going back to the Walter theme, so I'm like, is he Walter again? But no, it's Gunter versus LA Knight. And, I have to say to both guys, and I want to start on a sincere foot, it was a solid match. Good selling, good storytelling with Knight's neck later in the match. But I do stand by what I told you during games after SmackDown that night. I think the two components to an LA Knight match that I can enjoy are A, he's got to be working with somebody that I care about, which was the case at WrestleMania when he faced Jacob Fatu for the US title, and again here with Gunter. And two, LA Knight's just got to do the job, right? And he did that in both of those cases, and that's why I like both of those matches. LA Knight ended up tapping out, which I clipped from YouTube and I bookmarked it. So now anytime that Super Blue shares those LA Knight gifs of nah, I'm gonna be sending one of my own of tap out. And I think it'll even out. So yeah, LA Knight tapping out to a cravat, basically. Again, bringing it all full circle with the neck. And yeah, I think the most egregious part of the match to me that I rolled my eyes, LA Knight hits a burning hammer and an AA, and it's for a near fall. So it's on two fronts. It's one, I don't really mind the AA being kicked out of. I mean, Cena's been using it's been kicked out of that too for years. But the burning hammer will always be egregious to me. Put some respect on that move's fucking name. Jesus Christ. And then, yeah, just going through getting overpowered like that. I mean, I know Knight is not a quote unquote small guy, but I was like, okay. But yeah, we got to the finish. Knight taps out. I thought it was pretty harmless. And yeah, Gunther Cena, Saturday night's main event should be interesting. We also found out that Bayley is going to be facing Sol Ruka at Saturday night's main event, which that's, I think, a huge opportunity for Sol Ruka, and we'll talk more about her in a little bit. And then Cody on the same show, he cuts a fired up promo against Drew. I think they got in some parking lot brawl that I missed because, again, I only paid attention to what I really cared about. But then he calmed down, and being the consummate pro, goes to see Ricky Saints and Oba. This is before Deadline. We're going to get to Deadline in just a few moments. And he says, hey, the winner of your NXT championship match gets to face me at Saturday night's main event. I'm going to say right now, and I love Gunther to death, I really wanted Cena's final match, because even he said it in a pre-tape thing where he's like, I want this last match to be for somebody what my first match was, going back to his infamous answering the challenge of Kurt Angle. Well, it's not going to be that, because I love Gunther to death, but he's not a young guy, and he's already been a world champion and the longest reigning Intercontinental champion in WWE history. So you couldn't get any more opposite, right? So that's a bit frustrating, because I feel like if it was a Trick or an Oba or a Javon, even though they've done stuff in NXT, particularly Trick and Oba, so maybe Javon would have been the best of the pack in that case, I think it would have made more sense. But it is what it is. No use crying over bad booking. We've done that long enough. And so, yeah, I really feel like the winner here getting to face Cody, that almost kind of fits the theme better of what I wanted Cena's last match to be. So we'll have to see how that goes. Because going into Deadline now, because it's really all I have to say about SmackDown, again, was very in and out with my attention. Deadline was a genuinely good show tonight. I had fun with it, and I would say specifically about the women's Iron Survivor matchup, not only was that a match of the year contender for me, that was the most fun I've had watching wrestling in a minute. I think these 5 women, and really I have to give shout out right away before I forget, to Kalani and Kendall. They were the stars of this thing because they started it and they went bell to bell. Let's start with Kendall. I know you've liked her, bro, from the jump. We've both liked her on Evolve. I unfortunately didn't see her win the Evolve Women's Championship nor any of her defenses because this was around the time that you and I were just burned out. We couldn't take it anymore. So at first, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, this is going to be a great coming out party for Kendall Gray. And I thought it was really smart booking having her start the match because you want to expose her to as many people as possible with as much time as possible. Well, goddamn. First of all, this was a coming out party. The sequences she had, again, I have to go back to Kalani specifically. They had great chemistry. I'm looking forward, hopefully, to future singles matches between those two. I also thought Kendall had some great interactions with Jordynne Grace. I think she had great interactions with more or less everybody in this matchup. I thought Lola was the weakest personally, but I've never been big on Lola Vice. But even she was fine. It's not like she was a shitter. It's just compared to everybody else, I'm like, eh. But no, Kendall shines so fucking bright in this. And yeah, the crowd's behind her. She's over, which I think that's the biggest thing is that she is over. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Kalani, I mean, we have been begging this woman to get a personality forever. And I got to tell you, man, as a heel, I think it works. There were times when she got pinned because she went to the penalty box, I think 3 times in this match, maybe 4. And I know there was one time she was just smacking the mat in frustration, almost throwing a tantrum. God damn it. I hate going back in that stupid box. And she would do the heel thing where if she shared a box with somebody, she would kind of beat them up, whatever, gain an advantage. But her best heel work of this match was when Soul comes out last. They've been telling this story with Soul with the tensions that she has with Zarya. She even had a phone call with Zarya before the match, just apologizing. It still seemed a bit awkward, but it seemed like, okay, we patched it up. She comes out. Now, Kalani had been pinned when Soul's making her entrance. Kalani doesn't go to the box right away. She clips Soul. She pulls her off the apron and damages the knee. And then she goes to the penalty box and she has the most deliciously evil smirk on her face. Yeah, I did that. Bye-bye, Soul. Bye-bye, thinking that she wasn't going to be back. Soul does come back, and man, does she make the most of her 5 fucking minutes. Nails a double Soul Snatcher right out of the gate and gets 2 pins off of that. Pins both Kalani, so payback, and Lola. And yeah, man, just a really fantastic fucking match. I think what I liked about it more than the men's, and we'll get to the men's in a little bit because I know I leapfrogged the men's NXT World Title match that opened the show. I was just so jazzed about this match. I wanted to talk about it straight away. Is that I feel like compared to the men's, which the strongest part of men's Iron Survivor to me was the third act of the match, the final 5 to 10 minutes. I feel like the women, what gave them the edge, I feel like they had urgency the entire match. It's they knew we have 25 minutes, especially the people that are coming in later. They don't even have the full 25. They could have 10, they could have, 5, whatever. And it's just we got to get these falls. We got to get these falls. We got to stop other people from getting falls that are tied with me. It was the first 5-way tie in Iron Survivor, which I think that built up the tension. I think they played with the tension very well in this thing. Closing moments were crazy because if I remember correctly, so Soul hits a Soul Snatcher from the steel steps. She does moonsault off the steel steps onto the floor on Lola. Looked beautiful. Tries to roll her back in. Kalani and Jordynne were sharing the penalty box at the same time. They're jockeying for position. Kalani feels like she's going to capitalize. Jordynne takes her out, but then Kalani takes Jordynne out. So they neutralize each other. And then Soul, because Soul was already taken out by Kalani. Lola's getting up. Lola's stunned. Kendall comes from the top rope with a flatliner and gets the pin and the win. Amazing. I mean, this really, I'll tell you, we were wondering what kind of future Kendall Gray would have because again, I know we're both high on her. This just proves to me WWE likes her. They had her go the distance and win the fucking thing. That I think is really fucking cool. So yeah, big ups to her. JC confronted her after the match, and that title match is going to be at New Year's Evil, so we've got a few weeks. And then also later in the night, Soul did congratulate Kendall, but it was a bit backhanded, because Soul said, if I got my full time out there, because Kalani did take her out for like a few minutes because they helped Soul to the back. They did that whole spot. She's like, if I had my full time, I would have won. And then it was kind of a whole thing. And then Ren, because Ren's whole gimmick is speaking inappropriately at the worst times, is like, yeah, but like, Zarya speared Kendall on Tuesday, and she still came out and she won the whole thing. And then Soul was like, well, regardless of Zarya's questionable behavior, she's still my best friend, and she had my back, so now I'm gonna have her back. And Kendall and Ren were confused, like what that even means. We don't even know what that means. I guess we'll just have to see in the future. But yes, Kendall is the women's Iron Survivor. So before I go back and talk about the men's NXT Championship, Ricky Saints versus Obafemi, did you just want to say anything about Kendall being women's Iron Survivor? Because I know you did not watch the show, but I know you're a fan of Kendall Gray. Do you have any thoughts you want to share?
Oh yeah, that's really cool that they already are kind of giving her this level of a push. She's also, I believe, the Evolve champion, but I don't know if Evolve is even still a thing anymore, so that might just be like a defunct title. Um, that's awesome though. Yeah, Kendall is an amazing in-ring talent, and I really like her attitude and her look. And I'm kind of blown away that she won this when she was in a match with all of Jordan Grace, Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka, and Lola Vice. I mean, if that's not an outstanding field of women, as far as like the way that NXT sort of books them in terms of like just like the power levels for Kendall to have to overcome, I mean, that's amazing.
I'll tell you, you know what a huge fucking Sol Ruka fan I am.
Yeah.
I really wanted her to win this, but here's the thing. And Foster can vouch for me on this because I told him I feel like they made the right decision here because for one thing, Soul still has the story with Zarya. If Soul was to get this title shot, I would just believe Zarya was going to screw her out of it and it would be a moot point anyway. Secondly, she's facing Bayley at Saturday night's main event. Soul's getting her own huge opportunities, which are richly deserved. She's going to be okay. I feel like NXT, and it's not often that I come to the defense of wrestling booking, not that people were like mad at this, but against my own self, I guess, and against my own bias. I think that this was the right call because I think you really needed to make Kendall Gray here because, I mean, she did come out with the Evolve Women's title. I think Evolve is still continuing in some form. I know Jackson Drake, he recently defended the Evolve Men's Championship on an indie show, some kind of weird like wrestling promotion against Cappuccino Jones. I actually want to see if I can go back and find that. Maybe watch that later because I haven't watched Jackson Drake in a minute, and I still think the world of the dude, despite the fact that I am dealing with burnout, which NXT, surprisingly was like, hey, we could still do good things sometimes. So, yeah, I think Kendall was just the right call. But again, big ups to Kalani. Honestly, the next time that NXT Women's Championship goes on a babyface, would not mind Kalani being the next heel women's champion. Again, she went to the distance on this thing and had some great heel work. Again, mainly just the soul thing and the smile of just being so smugly proud of herself. I'm like, man, that's great. So big ups to all the women. But let's take a beat. I got really excited there. Let's talk about Ricky Saints versus Oba. Gotta tell you, man, really not much to say here. It was a fine match. I thought Ricky wrestled like in character, a very intelligent match because he's trying to ground Oba early. There was one spot where like he tried to go for like a drop toe hold on Oba and he kind of got it, but then he kind of adjusted and worked the ankle. And I thought that was really smart. So you could see he was really going in trying to chop down the proverbial redwood. And I think the match was like, I want to say 15 minutes, maybe a little over. But yeah, I mean, Oba wins after almost like a last ride type power bomb. And yeah, two-time champion. And when he hit that, I'm like, he's winning. And then when Oba regained the title, I'm like, I really think Javon's going to win Iron Survivor now because with Ricky as champion, I got to tell you, I really didn't know. It could have been Miles Bourne. It could have been Dion. In fact, I probably would have put both of those guys above Javon at the time. But then when Oba won, it made me question everything. And I'm glad I did because the first thing I said after, Oba won was, oh, Javon's winning. And I'm glad that I called my shot, kind of adjusted it because, well, as we'll see, Javon did win men's Iron Survivor. We'll get more into that match later. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. Ricky shakes Oba's hand at the end. We know Oba's going to face Cody at Saturday Night's Main Event. I'm both excited and terrified for that. Excited because whatever you and I may think and whatever anybody else may think of Cody Rhodes, he is still over. And he, at the very least, he's still over with the company. And so in their minds, like giving Oba this is a huge fucking deal. So like looking at it from their perspective, this is huge, but like it's still Cody. And I'm just wondering how Oba, for his part, is going to be made to look in that match. Because we're so used to him being a force and everything else. Like, how much is Cody going to bump for him? How much is he going to sell for him? And is Oba just going to look, a bit aloof when Cody's like firing up and doing all of his offense? I think presentation's immensely important. And Oba's already so good at this game. I don't want him to get shortchanged just because it's the Cody Rhodes show featuring everybody else, right? So I'm tentative about it. But yeah, I don't know where Ricky Saints goes from here. I know you had said earlier in the Discord that you were sad at the prospect. You were thinking about it. You were thinking Ricky Saints was going to retain, if I remember your message correctly. Given that Oba regained the title, I mean, how are you feeling about all this? Knowing that he regained the title, knowing that he's going to face Cody, knowing, I mean, we can even talk about it ahead of time, like that he's going to face Javon at New Year's Evil. How are you feeling about all this?
I do have a lot of feelings about this, and unfortunately, most of them are actually negative. Um,
Okay.
Mainly, but here's the thing: it's like, okay, you've seen the movie The Incredibles, right?
Yes.
Okay, hear me out here.
Okay.
The villain of the movie The Incredibles, Syndrome, I think is his name, right?
I want to say yes. Yes.
Okay, if I remember correctly, this dude sends like killer robots into the city so that he can go in and save the city because they're robots he created, so he knows how to destroy them. So he sends the robots into the city. He goes into the city, saves the city. All of a sudden, he's this big new superhero, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what NXT booking is right now. Like they already fumbled by having Oba lose to Ricky in the first place, and now they're trying to make up for it by being like, "Oh no, just let us cook. We're actually giving you Oba defending the title against Javon actually anyway." But like Oba losing was supposed to be a big fucking deal. It was supposed to be saved for Javon because the whole thing was like no one in NXT has come anywhere close to beating Oba except for Javon and maybe Tony D a couple times, but you get the idea. And they
We'll get
had
to him too, believe me.
and they
Yeah.
had
Content.
they had Ricky beat him on his first try. And it's like, okay, well, if this guy can just come in and beat Oba, that kind of kills some of the aura of Oba Femi for me. And it's like if Javon does beat Oba for the title at New Year's Evil, it'll be cool because it's Javon finally getting a win over Oba. But I definitely do feel like it is the impact of it is significantly less due to Oba having already lost the title to Ricky and then gotten it back. It's like you built up this monster only to have him lose to a side character before finally having him beat the side character so that he can ultimately lose to like the hero of the story. It's like that's not how story structure works. You build up the big villain and then you have the side character fucking lose to prove how much of a beast this big villain is so that when the hero does beat him, it's a bigger deal. And they fumbled it hard. And I'm also worried that now that Oba won and is now going to be facing Cody, I'm worried that they're going to have him lose to fucking Cody too. It's like just within the last couple of months, like Javon is getting his shot at New Year's Evil. I assume that's going to be the first Saturday in January. And by then, it will have been like just a few months since the last time that Javon failed to beat Oba. And it's in that time, in those few months, Oba will have lost to both Ricky Saints and Cody Rhodes. It's like they're going out of their way to tarnish the credibility of Oba Femi so that when Javon finally does beat him, it will mean less. And I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, because I prematurely started to speak before. It seems like you're good, so let me just say that I agree with you fundamentally. Because look, I like Ricky Saints, right? And so this isn't about. I don't think it is about that for you either. I mean, you stated your case very plainly. It's not like an anti Ricky Saints thing. It's this is what happens when you do booking like this because it takes away from other people's moments. I think Ricky's got a lot of upside, but I felt like at the time he
I mean,
challenged
dude,
Oba.
I appreciate the idea that Ricky Saints is a good wrestler and he's a really like he's got a lot of aura and he's a really like good mic worker and stuff like that. He's already 35.
That is fair too.
Like
That is
I
fair
do
too. Yeah,
think
he
that
is
he's
on the
already
outside.
like a pretty polished, complete product right now. But I also do want to just say I think it's unfair even to say that he has a lot of upside. Like he's where he's only like I can't imagine him getting more than a little bit better over the course of the future in general.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
he's
and that's
already
yeah,
been
that's
here
fair.
for how long and he's already been in the business for how long? How much better can a dude that's been around for this long even get?
That's fair. I do think at the time that Ricky challenged, that to me the story was Javon's story. I saw what Foster said in chat that he felt like Javon didn't need to be the guy to beat Oba, and maybe need is a misframing because nobody really needs to do anything, but it's just you kind of intuitively infer where a story's going to
That
go, right? And it
exactly,
just
right? Like it's
yeah,
not like, oh, if Javon doesn't beat Obafemi, his character is ruined and he's never going to be a star. I think he's going to be a star regardless. But from strictly from a storytelling perspective, Javon Evans felt destined to be the one to finally unseat the unbeatable God King Obafemi. And they were just like, no, no, this random guy that just showed up earlier this year is going to do it.
and especially because when you think about now, I forget the PLE name when Javon got his one-on-one match against Oba, but I remember clearly that Javon came into that match in kayfabe with bruised ribs, and who knows, maybe it was legit, but I think it was like a character type injury. So he
Uh,
came in with like the bruised
it was
ribs.
Heatwave in August.
It was Heat Wave. Thank you, thank you. So it was Heat Wave. And we remember the finish where he was going for like that beautiful diving cutter he does, but Oba had the power advantage, caught Javon and threw him over the top rope through the announce table. Crazy fucking visual. And then he gets the power bomb and he wins. But that lingering question, if Javon was 100%, would it have been different? And then you already mentioned at deadline last year, he was a second away from pinning Oba and getting the title shot, but Oba got the title shot at Javon's expense. So there was very clearly a tit for tat going on here where like Javon would just get close. He'd get close. He'd be firing on Oba, but then Oba ultimately would like reassert his position, his place, his
Yeah,
dominance in the NXT landscape. And so, yeah, I mean, again, it's not a matter of, and I get what Foster's trying to say, and I respect it, but I just want to be clear that it's not a matter of, oh, he needs to do this or he's done. It's like, no, we felt like that's where the story was going.
yeah.
And then for Ricky Saints to come out of nowhere and be like, haha, it's me, and again, nothing against Ricky, but I
That's
feel
my
like
big
that
thing
is so
too, right?
backwards.
Is like I don't blame Ricky at all. I think he's a great talent. I think he's going to make a lot of money, and I think he's going to
Yeah.
make the company a lot of money. But like, it just feels like NXT's writing squad just decided to derail Javon's story, and I don't understand why. Especially knowing that now Ricky held the title for like 2 months, not even a little over, maybe I don't know, somewhere around the 2 month mark. And like, what did he do with the title that helped himself or anyone around him?
Yeah, bro, it's kind of crazy with Ricky, just as a side comment, that both of the title reigns they've given him have been so short. It's like why put titles on him if you're not going to have it breathe for a little bit? Like I do agree
Yeah.
fundamentally that baby faces should have shorter reigns,
It
but
honestly
like
feels like they wanted to fast
yeah,
track him to the main roster, and when he gets to the main roster, they wanted to be able to say, "Oh, he did this and he did this in this little amount of time. That's how impressive this new guy is."
I agree with you completely. I think that's exactly what it is. And I wish him well, but again, I really feel like if you would have told the Javon Oba story to completion, could have even been my feud of the year. Maybe even had one of like my matches of the year. But now we're trying to get back on track with it. But even then, so let's connect all these
Yeah,
threads, even though the card itself is like out of order.
I know this
Javon
sounds
wins.
goofy, but like
Yes.
in terms of WWE, Ricky Saints is unequivocally the rookie of the year because
Yeah.
he debuted in February. He's only been here since February of this year. And in that time, he has both won and lost both the NXT North American and the NXT World titles.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Um. But yeah, what was I? Okay, yeah. No, and just let's connect all the threads together. Javon does win men's Iron Survivor.
Yeah.
Solid match. I think women's was far better. I think the
Yeah,
strongest
I
part of
actually
the
saw
men's for
people
me.
online talking about how they think that the women should have main evented.
Dude, if they would have main evented, that would have been huge for Kendall. But I think she already got such a rub. Like, I get it, right? And you wanted to give Javon a little something. I think again, the final like 10 minutes of the match was the strongest part of it. Not that it was bad in the preceding, 15, but I just felt like that's when they really kicked it to another gear. I like Dion's intensity. I actually like that he stayed true to his word. I even said in the Discord, I'm like, how much do we want to bet Dark State just comes out, lays waste to everybody, and then Dion picks the scraps and just pins the other 4 individuals? But apparently he told him, I'm going to do it on my own, and he tried to his credit. And he had a great spot, too, just from a character standpoint, where he locked both the referee on the outside who had the key to the penalty box and Javon in the penalty box. But that didn't stop Javon, though, because he ended up scaling it and doing a crossbody. But still, I like that Dion tried to, neutralize one of his competitors. But yeah, Javon wins. I'm thinking, great. Oba's music hits. I'm thinking, okay, we're going to do the stare down to end the show. But then that music gets cut off by this weird video package of like this guy just walking, like this dark silhouette walking in the empty street. I'm like, oh, okay. And then Javon's looking like confused, like, what the hell? Oba kind of gives a smirking shrug. I fucking love Oba, man. Whatever we say about booking and stuff, and I think everything we've said has been valid. Oba just as a singular talent. I fucking adore the man.
Yeah.
He emanates charisma. I'm telling you, like, I just need to say this too, because we've said it time and time again. And, certainly because we do say we're a political podcast, we know how fucking shitty, black people and black wrestling fans have it culturally and politically in this fucking white supremacist shithole.
Yeah.
I really feel like Oba has got that early like NWA almost Ric Flair energy of just charisma just naturally radiating off every fucking pore of this dude, except he's not over the top. He's not like an Energizer Bunny like fucking Rick White. He's just so cool and grounded. I'm telling you, this is it. This is it. Kofi walked so I feel like everybody else could run, because Kofi Mania I feel like was such a huge thing. But this, Oba Femi, I feel like is going to be even bigger. I really do. I mean, this dude, so fucking cool. And I just love, that he kind of has a little chuckle, like, I don't know what that was, not my problem, still the champion. But then from behind, I don't even know who the guy is at first. I didn't put together that it was Tony until Vic Joseph says it, because he's really grown the beard out. He lays out Javon with like his one-armed spine buster, and then he just stoically just stares at
So
Oba
Tony D
and the
is back
show.
in NXT, and he
Yeah.
is heel, at least heel enough to attack Javon, and he's probably going to try and beat Oba for the world title.
Yes. Yes, that's what I inferred from how the show ended. Yes.
Oh,
And I got to tell you, man, like, again, just to kind of go first on this, because I heard your oh boy and I do want to hand it to you, but just real quick, I like Tony. I like Tony a lot, actually. I was really curious. It was only like a month or two ago that I even said to you, like, I'm like, where the fuck is Tony? Like, because he had that triple threat uh, against Stax and I forget the lawyer's name, but yeah, he beat them both, and but he left his hat on the ring post. And yeah, and then that's right. Thank you, Foster. He kind of sprinkled pieces of his fedora on Javon, saying that the old Tony D is dead. But I'm like, Luca Crucifino. Thank you, Foster. And you're really coming through in the clutch for me. Sure, you don't want to take my place here? Yeah, he sprinkles the fedora on Javon. I like Tony. I'm curious where this is going, but no, like no. I'm tired of Javon really getting shafted. And I'm not even talking about like losing matches, right? He's a babyface. He's a scrapper. Like, he's going to lose matches. I get that. But I don't like that consistently Javon, to me, and again, you have to keep in mind that this is the first time I've actively watched wrestling, in a good bit. But it just consistently feels to me like Javon is an afterthought. And I don't really care for that. And look, I know that Tony was the first guy to beat Oba for a championship, the North American Championship to be precise. But that doesn't mean I want to see him do it again for the NXT championship. I was personally ready for Tony to go to the main roster, but then again, I've been saying the same thing about Oba for months. So yeah, I really don't know. I kind of hope Javon just wins at New Year's Evil and then Oba enters the 2026 Royal Rumble. Maybe fucking wins it. I don't know. I still have dreams for some reason, but I just feel like Tony is going to foul that all up. So now that I've relayed all this information to you, do you have any thoughts?
Here's my thing, man. I do also like Tony D, but like I already disagreed with NXT booking him to beat Oba for the North American title in the first place. He needs to challenge and lose to Oba this month. Like
Yeah.
within the next 3 weeks, he needs to try and challenge for the world title, maybe even on NXT this coming Tuesday, or maybe set the match up on Tuesday for the following Tuesday. He needs to challenge Oba. He needs to lose, and he needs to go away. Uh, Preferably to the main roster. I want to see. I mean, it's unbelievable to me that we haven't had any really like. Who was the last person to get called up from NXT? Honestly,
Dude, I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy that you asked that. And I really don't have an answer for
Lash
you.
Legend, I guess, just got called up to work
Yeah,
with Nia
Lash.
Jax.
Yeah. Which I mean, hey, to their credit, the women's tag division actually seems hotter than it's ever been, really. So I mean, at
It's
least
just,
Lash is kind of eating some
it's
good.
still, you're right. It's just unbelievable to me that we've got Oba, we've got Trick, we've got Javon, even Tony D at this point, not to mention the women who should be getting called up, namely women like Jordan Grace. I mean, I'm glad that Lash finally got called up, but like, Sol Ruka is still in NXT. That's crazy. It's just what the hell? Why does it feel like we're back in like 2016 when there are way too many main roster talent level people in NXT and they're just lingering. They're just not being given anything to do on the main roster, and so they're just finding all these weird like alternate reality storylines to do in NXT. It honestly actually reminds me most recently of Wes Lee being kept in NXT long enough to do a heel turn, be bad at it, and get released because they forgot how good he is as a face. Like, that's crazy to me. Tony, I like Tony. I don't love Tony. I think Tony's cool. I think his new look is actually fantastic with the big beard and the sides of his head shaved. He looks amazing. But let him look amazing on NXT or on Raw or SmackDown. Let him look amazing doing challenging Ilya Dragunov for the what is that, the Intercontinental title or is that the US title? I forget.
United States Championship.
Yeah.
United States Championship, brother.
Yeah, let Tony D go do that stuff. He doesn't need to be showing up in NXT interfering with it's unbelievable. Oh god, I'm so irritated because in my mind Tony D was already booked in such a way that ruined Oba's momentum, and I really just don't want to see the exact same thing happen because they booked Tony D to beat Oba for the North American Championship and then retain against him when Oba challenged him afterwards for the title. And Oba took 2 losses in a row before winning the NXT World Championship. And they just kind of thought like, oh, well, once we put the world title on him, everyone's just going to forget about him losing the North American title to Tony D. But like, what good did that even do Tony? What good did winning the North American Championship from Oba Femi even do Tony D'Angelo? He won the North American title, and then what? What did he do after that?
Yeah. I think Tony just pretty much had like a kind of, well, maybe not a nothing burger reign. I honestly forget who Tony even dropped the North American title to.
Didn't he lose it
After he
to
won it
Ricky?
all.
Didn't he lose it to Ricky Saints?
No, you know what it was, bro? No, 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 no. You know what it was? He lost it to Shawn Spears, and then Shawn Spears lost it to Ricky Saints. That's
I
what it was.
forgot that Shawn
That's what it was.
Spears ever even held the North American title. Dude, Tony D held that title for like 5 months.
Yeah.
And his defenses after retaining against Oba in Oba's, challenge, his rematch, he defended the title against, listen to this fucking rogues gallery of amazing challengers. Nunzio, Shawn Spears, Ethan Page, Ridge Holland twice, and then he lost it to Shawn Spears in his second attempt at it.
Nuncio pop.
It's ridiculous. And then Spears immediately in his first defense dropped the title to Ricky. And Ricky literally only defended against Ethan Page and Lexis King. They basically have made the North
Yeah.
American Championship an AEW title at this point. Because now Ethan Page has held it
Yeah.
for how long? He's defended it in multi-man matches. He's defended it against Shawn Legacy, Ricky Saints. He defended it against Santino Marella at one point, Tyler Breeze. I mean, from what I understand, he had a really great match against Mustafa Ali on the NXT TNA crossover show. But like, the North American title feels so irrelevant now. And here's the thing: I wanted for Oba to hold the North American Championship until he won the world title, and then do a Keith Lee and relinquish the North American Championship. Who would have been hurt by that happening?
Yeah, I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody would have been. And you know what? Honestly, you walking us through all that, I understand your concerns completely. I really, I just don't know, man. And honestly, thinking about Tony's new look and everything, now I want to say that this is purely fantasy booking on my part, right now because there's really no meaningful way I think to connect the two. But he's got such a look. I'm like, why not just call him up to the main roster and pair him with Aleister Black? Like have Aleister
Have
Black
him
kind of
be
have his own
Alistair's
little cult going
disciple.
on.
Yes. Give Alistair
Yeah,
more like
yeah.
start up like a little mini faction for Alistair that starts accruing talent.
Because I mean, let's be real. And again, again, I feel like I'm saying this a lot as like a qualifier, but I am sincere. I love Alistair. I feel like I was one of the most amped up people when he came back to WWE because I've said so many times on the history of the show, oh, that guy was a license to print money. Well, now they kind of have him and Zelina, who I also love, good on her, doing the Cross Scarlet bit. Even though they had Cross and Scarlet, which I was met on, but he genuinely got over. He has his fans. There's no denying that. But now they're having
Dude,
Alistair and
Cross got
Zelina do
over
it.
more in 3 minutes of a podcast than he's ever gotten on WWE TV.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, if that's not an indictment of the system, I don't know what is. I really don't. And Cross's whole shtick was trying to make people like show their moral hypocrisy, like, oh, you posture as if you're good, but there's darkness in all of us, and this and that.
Yeah.
Alistair could do the same thing with Tony, except Tony's like, bitch, I already knew. Let's do it. Let's fuck people up. But again, that's purely fantasy booking on my part. I'm just saying, like, rather than circle the drain, which I feel like certain NXT talents are doing, you could do that. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you just go back to the drawing board. But yeah,
It makes me very
that was
confused that like Triple H is now in charge of main roster booking. And for the longest time when he was only in charge of NXT, he would constantly advocate like, no, NXT is the third brand. We aren't developmental. We aren't just like an underneath thing that you can graduate from. We are on an equal level. And yet NXT is viewed by far and away the fewest people between their three shows. So even if you don't want to treat it like a graduation from a developmental promotion, you should at the very least be looking at the best people in NXT and wanting to get more eyes on them. Put them on SmackDown, put them on Netflix, on Raw. It just doesn't make sense to me that all of these fantastic, already kind of made talents like Tony, like Trick, like Oba, like Javon, like Soul, I guess even to a degree, like I said earlier, like Jordan Grace. Like you put Jordan Grace in the ring with like a Nia Jax or a Piper Niven or a Lash Legend, one of the bigger girls, and have her show off her power, she'll get over in one night. You'd really
yeah.
like, and I would even personally say Mariah Blake Monroe. She probably didn't even need NXT in the first place because she is just a fantastic talent all around who understands the business and understands how to get over. I just, man, the the weird stagnation of NXT talent right now is really concerning to me, and the fact that Tony D made his return in NXT tonight to try and make it seem like he's going to go after Oba for the world title again. And I say again because he literally like the most recent thing that I remember him doing was going after Oba for the NXT North American Championship. It's just unbelievable to me. I just don't understand why NXT insists on trying to sort of shed Obafemi's credibility here and there and here and there and in bits and pieces, rather than having it be built up to the point that he's basically untouchable. And even when he does take a loss, it helps the person beating him far more than it hurts him. And then you can use that momentum to really just make a guy or two or three while maintaining Oba's credibility. It's just irritating to me. And Tony D is cool, but Tony D feels like an obstacle to be discarded rather than, somebody that I'm supposed to really care about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I feel you on that, man.
He's like a
And
filler defense so that Oba has more than one, so that Oba actually has a successful defense on his way to losing the title to Javon. And at this point, I'm not even convinced he's losing the title to Javon.
yeah, I'm not convinced he is either. And we're gonna have to see everything that happens. I guess just talk about the rest of the card because the only thing I noped out of really was Ethan's North American Championship defense. Which I mean, to Ethan's credit, I know he's been popping people more lately. He's gotten to show more personality working with Chelsea Green, which I think has been wonderful for both of them. Because I mean, Chelsea's such a consummate pro. She's like, hey, if it gets me on TV, I mean that's the big thing, right? I don't want to be in catering, so whatever. And they've really made it work. I think it was like Mr. Iguana he had the defense against, which,
Yeah.
he had some impressive offense, but I mean, Ethan wins, and it's like, okay. Um, I'll tell you the match that really irked me. Though, actually, you know what? Before I get to that, I did just want to say about Blake Monroe, since you mentioned her. She's going to start doing an open challenge now. And you already know what I said about this. I feel like
Is she going
that is a.
babyface?
No, well, when you see how it was framed, because she's in Ava's office and she's talking about like how great it felt successfully defending her title against Solruka, and then Ava tried bringing up, well, that's only because Zarya threw in the towel, and Blake is like, oh, whatever kind of thing. She's like, I'm thinking, what if I defended this title every Tuesday? We've got the best women's roster in wrestling, and I want to prove that like I'm the best or whatever. But it was in typical Blake Monroe fashion. I don't think she's going babyface. I mean, she might turn babyface organically. I find her adorable because when Ava was like, you're not Ilya Dragunov, she's like, I'm more intense than Ilya Dragunov. And she's like, well, you're not John Cena. And then she said something about Cena. Like I don't have to tell you, we both are huge fans of Blake. I think she has potential to be one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. And that's a huge compliment given that EO has pretty much had her own condo set up there for like, I don't know, what feels like 10 fucking years.
Yeah.
But I feel like, Blake can really be on that level. And that's no cap. I think she's immensely talented. But I stand by. Now, I might be a grumpus here. I mean, that's totally understandable. I'm like 75 internally. But I feel like open challenges are a crutch when you don't know how to write proper championship feuds. We're seeing Ilya do it. He's going to defend against Ciampa next Friday, which there's a little bit of a story there because Ciampa's been wanting his shot. And now he's going to get it. But now Blake's doing it, and it's like, okay, but this woman can talk. This woman can work. This woman can be a great heel. You're telling me you don't want to make any babyface be like her foil or be elevated being in the ring with Blake? You just want to hand out random shots like they're Kenny. They did the same thing for most of Tatum's run until JC kind of manipulated her way into that rematch. Tatum wanting to be a fighting champion, and we'll get to Tatum in a second. I just think it's lazy, man. Honestly, I've been seeing this concept done
Almost
way too
like
much.
maybe a storyline written by AI,
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
which there were
Um,
rumors that WWE has, started considering that and maybe even having done it already.
yeah. And like I feel like Blake deserves better. Look, I actually kind of like Dragunov. I know you can't stand him. I'm more or less ambivalent on him, but sometimes if I'm in the mood to see something, aggressive, I'm like, maybe a Dragunov match. I feel like he
Honestly,
deserves
dude,
better too.
Ilya to me
Yeah.
represents everything that I hate about contemporary wrestling. He is the
Yeah.
most quintessential 2020s Osprey bullshit pro wrestler that maybe is even on the WWE roster other than Nathan Frazier. Like this dude doesn't sell anything, and when he does, he oversells because it's him trying to like get his shit in, and he kicks out of fucking ever like he just is the quintessence of everything I hate about the new wave of pro wrestling that was really kind of started with the Osprey Ricochet BOSJ match back in the 2010s. But yeah, that's my whole thing with him. He just represents everything I hate about the business right now.
You know what? And no one could blame you. Man,
I mean, you
if I
say
would have
that, but
known,
there are a lot of people who would disagree with me.
well, I will be in the trenches with you till death. Uh, and if you would have told me that Ricochet and Osprey doing their little matchup would have had such reverberations, I never would have believed you. But I don't appreciate them for it. I'll just put it like that. I gotta tell you, man, the one match that really upset me, to the point where, I didn't want it to get me down because I really like the energy of the show, and it was honestly great being in the Discord with Foster, and Sean popped in, fucking huge fan of Sean and his face. But it was Tatum and Izzy. Man, to me, bro, they made Tatum look so fucking stupid in this. Because here's the thing. I understand the Tatum Paxley character. She feels like or you know what? Let me not be so arrogant. I believe I understand the Tatum Paxley character. My understanding of the character is that she feels like an outcast. She wants friends. She wants to be accepted. That's why, like, Lyra coming back was such an emotional moment for Tatum in character, because it's, oh, my sweet dove, you do care, this and that. But Lyra, of course, is on the main roster. She's doing the tag team with Bayley right now. She can't be on NXT all the time. That's understandable. So when Izzy came in, that meant a lot to Tatum, right? And so, yeah, obviously the betrayal's also going to sting. She did the whole thing on NXT, like, you're going to have to feel all my pain. We were so great together. She destroyed her dollhouse with all of her with all of her dolls. And, she was really distraught. But so I get that. And I get that there would be a point in the match where Izzy would prey on that and she would exploit that. I get that. But, bro, they do that spot. Foster, help me out here, because you and I both were angry about the same thing. Did she abuse that spot 3 times? Maybe even 4. I think it was 4 times overall, because I know even Spears and Nico also took advantage of it, because Spears showed Tatum the Izzy and Tatum dolls. So 4 different times in this match that I counted, that, they kind of preyed on Tatum's emotions, and she more or less fell for it. She fell for it one time, which that was out of place, because you think she would fall for it the first time it was done. She didn't. She fell for it the second time, because the first time they do it, she does go in for the hug on Izzy, because Izzy's like, oh, Tatum, we can fix this, whatever. But then when Izzy can't help herself, and she has that look on her face like, yeah, I'm evil, Tatum catches it, and then you would think, okay, well, Tatum knows. Tatum knows she's a manipulator. It's going to be. But then later in the match, Izzy tugs at the heartstrings again, and Tatum falls for it, and Izzy sends her into the steel steps. And I think the third time she tried to do it, Tatum didn't fall for it. She did, like, kind of her finisher on the announce table, but the table didn't break. And then, yeah, towards the end, she gets distracted by the dolls, and then Spears rips the Tatum doll head off. Tatum slaps Spears, but then Izzy gets, like, her sit-out spinebuster to win the match. Now, I like Izzy Dame a lot. I think she has a lot of upside. I think she has been killing it in this calling role. She's absolutely the leader of this group, unequivocally. So I don't even mind her winning, but I don't think you had to make Tatum look so emotionally inept in this. Like, I think there should be a difference between being lonely and feeling like, am I ever going to have friends to call my own, and being naive. And I feel like they crossed over and they made Tatum look completely.
You know
Like,
what,
I'll
though?
tell you what.
I do think that Tatum's character is definitely meant to be on the more naive side.
I just look. You didn't watch this, right? Just
Correct.
to be clear, like, you did not watch the show. I feel like you should, if you could stomach it, go back and watch it and see if I'm being too hard on it, because I feel like it was overdone. I feel like it was way overdone. Like, I could maybe see it again if you did it once and she fell for it. Even if you did it towards the end of the match and she fell for it then. But to use that kind of spot
I think
4 fucking times.
once she noticed Izzy with, like, the evil smirk on her face, it would not have made sense for her to fall for it after that.
Yeah, and that's exactly my thing. And then to fall for it from Spears and Nico, who even tried to intimidate her before the match, giving Izzy an opening to attack her from behind. it's like, again, you know what it reminded me of, but it's so much worse because she isn't written this way, not this explicitly. It reminded me of some Eugene shit when Evolution did the storyline of taking advantage of Eugene, but then like they beat the crap out of him. At least to WWE's, I hate to say credit because that storyline was so gross, but like at least to their credit, if you're gonna do the fucking story, that's how he was written. Oh, he's intellectually disabled, very easily taken advantage of, whatever. Like Tatum, yeah, I want friends, yeah, this and that, but like, girl, wise up. Like, you saw that they were manipulating you, and then it's like, oh, okay, but maybe this time she's serious. Some Charlie Brown football shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, I think from a physical standpoint, the match was fine. They worked fine together. I think Tatum, I gotta tell you, one of these days, I wonder if Tatum will ever shed this character and do something else because she's one hell of a worker, as is Izzy. But character-wise, this was not it for me at
Yeah, I
all.
was gonna say it's a
Is
real shame that they bogged down the match with so much of this like Izzy manipulation and Tatum falling for it shit, because these two are great workers, and I bet the match could have been great if they would have just let it cook and maybe do that spot one time as the finish for Izzy to win.
Dude, if they're gonna do a rematch where Tatum is like locked in and she's like, I see it now, I see what you are now, I think it'll fucking cook.
Yeah.
I do. I kind of hope there's a rematch where
Yeah,
Tatum
because
is
they
like,
really are. They are both
okay,
really good workers. I mean, I put Tatum on a level above Izzy right now, but Izzy has grown so much just this year as a worker. And Tatum, I think, had that sort of rapid growth more like maybe last year or 2023, where she went from not really being on my radar to me noticing like, damn, she's awesome actually.
and bro, I gotta give you credit. I just wish that the product and just the business in general was better for you to be in a mindset to enjoy it because you've seen Izzy's talent, from a long time, from Jump Street
And to be
practically.
clear, I've seen
And I
Izzy's
really,
potential from Jump Street. She has definitely
yeah,
she's gone from, wow, she has a lot of potential. I can't wait to see what she becomes in the long term in previous years. So now this year, it's like, damn, she's awesome. She's already kind of there, you know?
yeah, I really am thinking like either her or Lady C might be my most improved this year
Yeah.
because two
It's a
women
tight
that have
race,
really
though.
grown so much.
They've both improved a lot this year.
Yeah, yeah. But so I do think there's going to be a rematch. I fucking hope. Like if that was the end of it, I mean, Jesus Christ. But if there's a rematch, I would expect Tatum to win, and she wins because the veil has fallen from her eyes, and she sees the calling for what they are.
Who
And
is
then
the
I'd like to
current
see her
NXT
get
Women's Champion again? JC?
JC Jane. Yeah, she
Damn.
regained it. She's on her second
So
reign
both
now.
women's
Yeah.
champions are heels. So it seems kind of unlikely that Izzy would go up out of her way to challenge for either of them, given that she's also a heel. That's kind of a rough
Yeah.
booking decision too, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, because who's women's North American champion again?
Blake.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Of course. I don't know why I blanked on that one. I was just talking about her open challenge.
I almost
But
have to
anyway,
wonder if
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
Blake does an open challenge and Tatum answers it, and Izzy just costs her, and that was how we get our rematch. You know what I mean?
That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. Anything to keep the view going because I need Tatum to get a win here because ultimately for me, I want her to face JC again. And then I don't know if she would even win. I'm not counting on her winning. I just, would like them to complete that story because I feel like both title matches they've had, there's been, a little bit of interference, a little bit of extraneous circumstances, I guess you could say, in it. So it'd be nice for them to just square up and do it. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see where it goes. I was not a fan of this match.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and I
I
think that more or
also,
less, yeah.
just because I know we're ready to move on here, I just want to bring this back real quick. I saw the clip of Tony D showing up and attacking Javon and then sprinkling the pieces of his fedora. You even mentioned that earlier on Javon's chest. That is
Yes.
some cringe ass, try hard ass, in joke AEW bullshit. I hate that.
Oh wow. Okay, damn.
Listen, if you want to have Tony shed the gangster persona, have him set the full fucking fedora on Javon's chest. What is this scraps nonsense?
I do agree, because dude, can I be honest with you? And I don't know if like you'll be like that's understandable or whatever. I didn't even know that was his fedora until
That's
like
what I'm
Foster put it
saying, though,
together.
dude. That is like it's
Yeah.
like they're fucking pandering to like the overly online, overly analyze everything to the point of nonsense X community. They're like, oh man, not everyone's gonna get this, but there's gonna be like 3 people on X who do a 15 post thread about how this is fucking internal deep storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hate that shit.
Oh, all right. Well, I think that wraps up wrestling for me. I
Thank
will say
goodness.
overall, yeah, I will say overall for me, if I'm being honest, I did have a good time with this show. I was going to give it a buy it, but honestly, after our conversation, I think I'll still give it a search it. I don't think you should skip the show. If anything else, watch Women's Iron Survivor. That was a genuinely fun fucking match, and I'm really happy for Kendall Gray.
I think at my mom's
Yeah,
behest, I'm gonna end up pulling the show up in its entirety and watching it at some point over the next day or two.
yeah. Yeah. So now we can move on to the always cheerful topic of politics. To be honest, I don't even really know what to talk about this
Pete
week.
Hegseth
Because
murdering people.
yeah, and I don't even know what's going on with impeachment because some people are filing articles, but then I think nothing will come of it.
Nothing's gonna come of it. There's too many Republicans that are still just fully loyal to everything MAGA.
Dude, I gotta tell you. No, you know what? That's a conversation I'll save with you. It's gonna take up too much time on the podcast, I think. Um, But yeah, yeah, Hegseth. I mean, the whole state apparatus, the whole national apparatus of like the government, and everything. It is just one giant war criminal to me. Here's the crazy thing: what Hegseth did. I'm glad people are calling him out for it. Don't get me fucking wrong, but like. I feel like the U.S. You can't be part of a government, especially at the higher level, without committing war crimes in this country. I'm just being real with y'all. Like even
Yeah, I mean,
Obama,
I
who
was
I
even
know like
thinking like
exponentially,
that.
yeah.
That's it reminds me of Obama with the drone strikes.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. It's just
And
nothing's gonna come of
even
it. This is what the US
if
does.
Obama didn't do that directly, we have damn near century of history of the U.S. supporting Israel's war crimes in Gaza financially.
Exactly. Exactly. I will say this though. It's okay, so I am gonna try and go back and try and say what I said I'm gonna save in conversation with you. I'm gonna try and keep it as succinct as possible. I have been reading more like Eastern leftism, leftism from like India, the global south, places like that. And I've been reading a little bit of like Marxist theory. I really have to wonder where this is all going because I really feel like capitalism is on its last legs. Like, bro, I don't know if you saw, here's a new story to talk about that I wish I would have looked more into before we went live. Kalshi, which is apparently like a gambling app or a gambling company or whatever, is partnering with fucking CNN. And like gambling is everywhere now. Like,
Yep.
here's the thing, bro. We watched that South Park episode this season, and I'm gonna be honest. This shows my ignorance
Polymarket,
because
yeah.
yeah, Polymarket. I really thought, oh, this is just South Park being morbid, thinking like, oh, this is what the future could be with how out of hand everything. I didn't know they were commenting on the present, like right fucking now,
Oh yeah.
because apparently, yeah, you can bet on is there gonna be a famine in Yemen or something. Like, I'm
Oh yeah.
like, but see, and now this is where I'm going to be a nerd, and this is where I'm going to have my philosophy brain on with you all. This, to me, is the end product of capitalism on a psychological level. When you treat everything as if it could have a price on it or have some kind of an instrumentalist value for markets or shareholders or whatever, this is dehumanization on a level that I don't know why I didn't conceive of it. Maybe because I tried to hold on to some sanity and some semblance of conscience. But when I heard that, because this all came from a secular talk video, which I'm going to plug him again later too in the politics section. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, no, no. And then I thought back to the South Park episode and I'm like, oh my God, it was a critique, not like, a parody or whatever, or like
Right.
a warning. And I'm like, first of all, I felt fucking stupid because I'm like, come on, John, it's late stage capitalism. Did you really expect anything else? And the little itty bitty part of me was like, yes, but then the grown man part of me was like, shut your bitch ass up. Like, fucking focus up. This is hell we're living in. We're living in fucking hell. So
I'm
yeah,
on
that
Polymarket
is
right now, and
yeah.
you can bet on whether there will be a Russia-Ukraine ceasefire in 2025. There's currently going at 20-1 for no, meaning there's only a 5% chance.
Jesus, tab dancing Christ. Uh so yeah, this is where we're all at, everybody. this is what we're doing now. Isn't that great?
Pete Hegseth
Um,
out as Secretary of Defense by the end of the year. Yes or no? 20% chance yes.
Actually higher than I would have thought, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Dude,
But
right? Oh, actually, you know what? It's not even by the end of the year. It's by March 31st.
yeah, yeah. Um, wow. I don't. But see, anyway, to get back on track, because I know what I do. I get worked up because I still believe in things for whatever fucking reason. I have to wonder whether there's because clearly capitalism is on its last fucking legs. And I'm really starting to buy in, maybe naively, in this whole extinction burst idea because these people, and the only reason I think I'm buying in it is that these people are so incompetent and they're so in their own fucking bubble. But like I even saw a poll that we talk about Venezuela because the US desperately wants to do war with Venezuela. um 70% of US citizens reject the war in Venezuela. Like they don't want it. Now, granted, I personally think 70 is too low. I'd like that to be a lot higher personally. But still, that is a strong majority of the country that's like, don't fucking do this. And they're still doing it. We know that they want to do stuff in Nigeria on the pretext of, oh, they're hurting Christians. No, they just agreed to nationalize oil. That's what you're really worried about. So yeah, I mean, clearly this is an empire in decline. We've been saying it for a long time, but the thing is, and what I need a lot of people to understand, that decline can be anywhere from could be 5 years, could be 20 years for all we know. I mean, the US is huge and has vast fucking resources. It may take a lot to just kill this fucking rhino, right? To just have it fully fucking go down. Uh, but yeah, it is wild fucking times because you have these people that are completely inept and just want to give into the worst excesses they have, whether it's greed or dehumanization or whatever. Gambling is out of fucking control. You can literally gamble on everything. I mean, that's where we are now. You just confirmed it live on air. Um, our president, I am like 95% sure. You know, I always like to leave that margin of error. 95% sure he has fucking Alzheimer's because Kyle Kalinske, Psychotalk, got to shout him out. You guys should go and watch the video he did. He did a comprehensive breakdown on all the signs of why Trump probably has Alzheimer's. And the big thing was, he even said that he got an MRI recently. Well, why are you getting MRIs? And then the bandage on his hand, people are alleging that he's taking a medication for Alzheimer's that has to be administered through an IV. And you get the MRIs because you want to make sure that the brain isn't having like inflammation or any complications from the medication. So yeah, I'm fucking convinced that he has Alzheimer's. Not to mention he's sundowning, so like he starts his days later because he's more functional at night. He's not really very functional during the day, which is why he
No, no, no,
posts
no.
on Truth
Other way
Social.
around, dude. It's the other way around. The
Oh,
sundowning
is
means
it?
that you're more coherent during the day, and as the night comes, you start to get like more and more incoherent.
Dude, that's fair. I want to say that I do acknowledge my mistake. I'm not trying to fight you, but that's still crazy to me because he posts on social media late at night like a maniac. So I don't know if they have him on like stimulants or what then if that's the case because yeah, he's like ranting and raving at fucking night on social media. But then again, maybe that's part of it. Maybe like he's like just completely gone and his most insane moments come at night. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
like
I'm
he's
just gonna
clearly
read what I'm reading
yeah.
here, just to make sure that I'm not talking out of my ass. I'm on Mayo Clinic. The term sundowning refers to a state of confusion that occurs in the late afternoon and lasts into the night. Sundowning can cause various behaviors such as confusion, anxiety, aggression, or ignoring directions. Sundowning can also lead to pacing or wandering. Sundowning is not a disease, it is a group of symptoms that occurs at a specific time of the day. These symptoms may affect people with Alzheimer's disease and other types of dementia. The exact cause of sundowning is not known.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, like I said, I put it 95% this dude's got fucking Alzheimer's. Either way, whatever he has, he's just not a functional fucking president. And we already know. I mean, how many times have we said over the years when we get into political stuff, every accusation is a confession, right? And how many times we talked about the Biden auto pen and all this stuff?
Yeah, he's
He's
definitely
not
on
even.
that auto pen bullshit. The real guys running the country, unfortunately, are probably Stephen Miller and Russ Vogt.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, abs-fucking-lutely. So yeah, that's all fucking crazy. I don't know if you heard this story because I just got word on this. Is this about the same thing? Hold on, let me just read this real quick and make sure. Um, Oh yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So I don't know if you've been hearing about the shit going on at Oklahoma University. Have you heard anything about this?
Probably, but I don't know.
Okay. So this student wrote a
Oh,
psychology
the
paper that
Bible
she got an
thing.
F on.
Yes.
Yeah, the Bible thing. And man, Oklahoma University has been paying out the ass for this because I think they might have at first punished the professor, which is whack fucking ass to me. Okay, just to get that out on Front Street. But now you've got students protesting on behalf of the professor, and now apparently there are students demanding tuition refunds and they're seeking transfers after this whole situation.
Good.
Yeah, and I agree. No, good. This is why I believe, and you believe, and every sensible person believes in separation of church and state. And you try and like bring God into it and side with the fucking. Well, this is what you fucking get. We don't want a fucking theocracy. All right, theocracies are for fucking marks and people that don't want to learn things and be scientifically literate and understand how the world fucking works. Also, because I've already mentioned that I've been reading more Marxist shit, I should say too that there is an inversely proportional relationship between belief, like religious belief and like cultism, and societies in decline and like wealth inequality. The more opulent a society is for the rich, the more the poor and everything will flock to religion. And I would say the more destitute society is, the more that like, theocratic notions and stuff start to swell up. Well, you're fucking seeing it here. And it's really disgusting. We don't need it. We don't want it. And it's bullshit. So yeah, fuck that. What else to talk about? Okay. So Venezuela, I don't really think anything has moved on Venezuela. Last I heard, Trump. We already talked about the Alzheimer's. We already talked about the gambling. I'm trying to think if there was a big story this week. I guess there weren't like any big stories this week, unless I'm missing something, which is entirely fucking possible. Oh, I mean, here's another thing. Fucking CDC said they made new recommendations on like natal vaccines that you can hold off on mumps, rubella, and all those. So now more children are going to fucking die and this and that. I I hate it here. I really fucking hate it here. I hate how anti-intellectual it is. I hate how fucking ignorant it is because here's the thing. It's not just ignorance because we all have ignorance about things, right? I'm not a historian. There's a lot of history that I don't know. But the thing is, anything that you, me, or our audience are ignorant about, for one thing, we're not in positions of power, which is why I like the Stokely Carmichael quote. Look, if a man wants to lynch me, that's his problem. If he has the power to lynch me, that's my problem. When you give ignorance power, bad shit fucking happens, especially when that ignorance is paired with understanding enough about, well, I want to be rich because money is king in this fucking society, and you pander to certain groups that can line your fucking pockets. It's awful. It's awful. I understand that we're all ignorant about things, but I cannot stand incurious people. Like, I at least think you should have a healthy sense of curiosity, and I sure as hell don't fucking tolerate malicious fucking ignorance. And that's what this is. That's what this is. You are killing fucking children because you promised your little cult of people that don't believe in vaccination and drinking unpasteurized shit or whatever that, oh, it's all gonna be okay. Fucking hate these people. I'm like, this is why I really didn't have much coming in to talk about, probably because my own mental health is protecting itself. Like, listen, John, what else are you going to say? Things are still on fire. Yeah, people continue to be the worst. I am so ready for the revolution, and it's never coming, and that's okay because I probably would have only held a sign. But like, I'm so ready for anything good. I mean, anything good to happen because things are constantly happening. We need to get some points on the fucking board here. Um,
I'd like to
and
share some
also,
more lighthearted political news then once you're done.
sure, sure, no, please take the floor because I want to look up something anyway.
Okay. I mean, one of the stories that I saw pretty pervasive this week was that Sabrina Carpenter uh, actively like went after ICE and told them to stop using her music in their videos. Um, Meanwhile, Taylor Swift has not done that yet. Taylor Swift is letting
Yes.
her music be used by them pretty consistently. Um, a lot of I. It's kind of crazy because prior to this year, I had always thought that Taylor Swift leaned Democrat and that she was more of like an ally type, who more like a liberal ally type. You know what I mean? But I've
Yeah.
seen more evidence this year that she is firmly more aligned with Nazis than liberals. It is unbelievable.
Yeah. It's really disappointing, honestly. because I mean she's a cultural force, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there used to be people joking like if Taylor Swift ever dated a climate scientist, we could beat climate change. And like I get it though because like she has the kind of influence that if she took up a position, she'd have. I mean, I don't think everybody would follow her because people can still think for themselves. I hope, but like she'd have a lot of people being like, "Yeah, Taylor, let's do whatever," and she's just being silent at the worst fucking time. It's really disappointing. Really,
Yeah,
really
another
disappointing.
really hilarious thing that I saw this week was that coming off of the meeting with Zoran Mamdani, where Trump was just clearly smitten, Trump was seen publicly dressed exactly the way that Mamdani was dressed at that meeting.
Yes. Yes.
Everyone's like, damn, Trump got a fashion glow up. And then you look at the meeting with Zoran, and it's just exactly what he was wearing.
Yes.
That's
I mean, people
that
have
is
joked that
by
this, yeah,
far the funniest news story I've seen this week.
yeah, dude, by far, by
Yeah.
fucking far.
Oh my
Um,
god. So what
let
are
me
you looking up,
see.
bud?
Okay, so now I want to find a source that I know won't immediately get called out. Um, okay, let me see. No, okay, let me see if this one has the quote because apparently I want to see if we can find the Gavin Newsom quote here. But there was a proposed like wealth tax in California, and Gavin Newsom said that he does not support it. And I think that's meaningful because we're looking at somebody that could very well be the Democratic frontrunner for president in 2028. Uh Buttigieg might still take it, but right now, I mean, Gavin Newsom, he's got a social media team that's very savvy, can make all the moves. Now, the first result came from the New York Post, which we should acknowledge is a conservative rag, so I didn't go on there. I'm on the Sacramento Bee, actually. I'm
Yeah, I'm
wondering if
seeing
they
that
have any
too.
quotes from him. Say that again.
I also went to the Sacramento Bee link that was in the New York Post article.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to see. I don't really see any quotes from Newsom, but it's alleged that he does oppose it, and if he does, I if he does oppose it and he makes more explicit statements, I don't think he should be the candidate. Like I am so tired of this neoliberal fucking
I
bullshit.
mean, bro, I don't think either one
Obviously,
of us thinks that he should be the candidate to begin with. Um,
yeah,
the
given his
20
record on the homeless and yeah,
right, the 2028 Democratic primary is going to be a bloodbath, and unfortunately, knowing the way that things have gone in the last two actual primaries, 2020 and 2016, Newsom is most likely going to end up the nominee.
yeah, yeah. I hate it
Oh,
because what's up?
I saw something about Newsom introducing wealth taxes, and it threw me for a loop.
Interesting, huh? Huh. Well, because we do want to get the record straight. So again, that's why I didn't even want to like entertain the New York Post because they are a conservative rag. I mean, the way they talked about Mamdani was unhinged, hilarious, but unhinged. And so yeah, they clearly have a conservative agenda. But it wouldn't surprise me though, given Gavin's track record on homeless people and just really vulnerable people in general. And and again, I don't want to be too hard on anybody, but I just got to call it like I see it. This is a problem I have with a lot of liberals. Like, being good at social media doesn't mean you should be fucking president. Being not Trump doesn't mean you should be president. To be fair, I do think a lot of the voting base is waking up. I mean, dude, some of the polling data coming out. There are even people now. You want to know how popular healthcare for all has gotten? People are in favor of it now, even if it does mean increasing fucking taxes on them. They're like, I don't care. I just want healthcare. Like,
Yeah, dude,
people, yeah,
the biggest lie that the Democratic Party in the United States tells is that they want to be a quote unquote big tent party. That is such a load of horse shit.
absolutely.
They don't give a fuck about
Absolutely.
casting a big tent. What they care about is casting a tent that includes the rich.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And if you have a big tent that can fit everybody, that means you fundamentally stand for nothing. And you sure as shit don't stand for the people that need to be fought for the most. And that's why, like,
That's
I'm
why they're
tired.
not an opposition
Yeah,
party.
exactly. Exactly. I'm tired of Democrats. I'm tired of the liberal performativism. And look, I always say this, guys, because I always check myself. I'm no model leftist. I wish I was a lot better about a lot of fucking things. But I keep saying, and I'm not saying everybody, grab your weapons, let's fucking do the fucking thing. I'm saying we need to, first of all, psychologically, reject capitalism and reject the binary fucking system. It begins with our own minds. It begins with envisioning possible futures. It doesn't begin by immediately, because that's pointless unless you have a different conception of what life is and can be. That's why I
Yeah.
hate these theocrats and these anti-vaxxers, because they're ultimately, and AI to a large degree, because it's stunting mental faculties, it's stunning intellectual development, and it's arresting our thoughts on we're just in this perpetual present that's a fucking shithole. And we're regressing socially. And the only thing that gives me hope, again, is that historically, when you have these periods of social regression, and they could go on for a long time, it's not like, in 5 weeks, it's all going to be better. I mean, we may be looking at 20 years of this. I don't know, maybe longer, maybe less. But afterwards, there usually is an explosion of social progress. And let me tell you, we're going to fucking need it, because already with climate change, they were just like, no, I'm going to keep burning fossil fuels, whatever. We've already crossed, from what I've heard, one tipping point. I do think that we're going to need to start looking at climate resilient infrastructure. I've been saying that for a while. I think we're going to need to change how we eat, because I think some food sources, because of droughts and other climate conditions, are not going to be tenable. But it's doable. And that's where I'm not a doomer. I would like to think I'm a climate realist, because I see the writing on the wall that the world is going to drastically change. But I think there's still a place for us in it if we fight for it. Rich people and corporations and the political class as it currently is literally a parasite on the body politic, and I would say the global body politic, personally. I think they need to be gotten rid of, and
Yeah.
I think only then does progress really fucking happen. And liberalism doesn't do that. My biggest problem with liberalism is that it doesn't have a theory of anything.
That,
Because for
that that's where
them,
this comes in. This is where I was. Yeah, I found the
yes,
interview where Newsom said that he was adamantly against a wealth tax on billionaires. He actually said this in an interview. I don't. I think it was with the New York Times actually, or it was at the New York Times Deal Book Summit, where he said he said something about how he disagrees with Zohran Mamdani about the need for a wealth tax on billionaires. He said he was adamantly against it, and he said the Dems are a big tent party with both views.
God, that's so nauseating. That's so fucking nauseating.
Yep.
And again, this is where I want to distinguish the party leaders from the voting base, because credit to the voting base, dude, people are hungry for change. They want the rich taxed, they want fucking healthcare, they want a better system. But you know what? That's also why, because that's the thing, these leaders, they're not inept. At least not in the ways that matter in the preservation of their own power, right? As far as governance, that's, mixed bag. But as far as preserving their power, there is an acuity there. There is a sharpness there. It's funny to me that when a lot of the voting base on both sides is becoming more and more populist, you're seeing this uptake in gerrymandering. And I think ultimately it's going to serve the far right, which fucking sucks. But even the Democrats, it's like, what, our next neoliberal candidate? It's fucking garbage, dude. I'm so tired. I'm so fucking tired. Um, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I think that'll be it for politics this week, because I really don't have much else, and there really weren't any
An
big stories,
update
just events
an
that came up.
update on
Yes.
the whole AI bubble memory explosion in pricing and stuff. Um, Crucial, which is a company that has made both memory and storage for computers for as long as I've been aware of computers, um, is shutting down because Micron, which is the company that I guess owns Crucial, wants to sell that RAM and storage to AI companies instead of consumers.
Yes, yes, we know Moist Critical did a video on that. I recommend checking him out. He also did a video recently, and I liked it to watch it later, on the Netflix Warner Brothers deal, which, I mean, I guess that's
Yes.
also falls under politics, because
Yes, it
that's also
does.
huge.
Yeah.
Um, I really don't know
Ace,
much about
Ace
the
the
deal. Yeah.
Skylord, who has joined us in Discord, thinks that it is going to take forever for this deal to actually go through. I have my doubts just because Netflix already sent out an email announcing their acquisition of Warner Bros. And that there's not going to be a whole hell of a lot of opposition from the people who could oppose it.
Yeah. I mean, that is a staggering fucking deal. And as other people have pointed out, keep in mind that Netflix was one of the streamers really majorly affected by the writer strike a while back. And you're telling me you couldn't pay your writers, but you shelled out billions to just further become like a monopoly in your own right? Like the whole game is so fucking disgusting, bro. Jesus Christ. Um, I again, I hate it here. And really, again, I just worry with these monopolies, with these growing companies, what is going to happen to art, what is going to happen to culture. I know Amazon removed their AI dubs because they got enough pushback. But here's the thing, bro. You and I both know this. We knew it about net neutrality. We know it about a lot of issues that people care about. They may bend the knee to the resistance at first, but they're going to keep plugging away until they get what they want. And
Yep.
sooner or later, they do. And yeah, I really do feel like AI dubbing is the future if you're an anime fan. And even subs, like I just have to wonder if it's going to be AI everywhere because I think even Japanese voice actors are concerned about it. And so, like, as
As
a
they
guy who
should
even
be.
prefers subs anyway, as they should be, and as a guy that prefers subs, like, is it even going to fucking matter for guys like me anyway? And you know, there are times that I like a quality dub, so I'm not even going to have that option anymore. And neither are people that like need to watch dubs or just feel like it's just better to not have to read stuff. Like, it just fuck. And then that doesn't even get into like the music. And I'm waiting in like 10 years when a fully like AI generated movie wins a fucking Oscar. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Oh my god. And every time I just think about the meme, like insert horrible thing here, regular person, I just wanted healthcare. Like it's literally it's just fucking it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
So that's the society we live in, folks. And speaking of popular culture, should be a good segue to talk about that. Um, yeah.
I've done
Oh,
a
I can
horrible
actually.
job keeping track of what we've done this week.
You know what? First of all, you're still perfect in my eyes, so that's okay. Second of all, I can start by saying I watched the Saga of Tanya the Evil, season
Yes.
one. I've still got to watch the movie. Insane fucking anime. I know DBK, Rotten Butter, and I believe Curtis also watch it. So I'm glad I have a little group. I might even start like a thread. Um, when season two drops. And so yeah, that's a crazy fucking anime. I don't want to get too much into it because I feel like we're making decent time right now. Music, Polo G dropped new music. Um Kokona from XG, they came out with huge news that I know you shared with me that we kind of bonded over because I know you're a huge XG fan. They are non-binary, trans mask, so very happy for them that they get to own who they are. They've been very supported, seemingly, which has been great. God knows there's enough ugliness in the fucking world. I know we've been keeping up with Bel Air, bro. The finale is this Monday. I thought we had more time, but yeah, tomorrow or no Monday, yeah, because tomorrow is Sunday. But Monday, when you and I get together to watch it, that's just it. No more Bel Air. I don't know if it's gonna be
Wow.
like a 2 episode upload or a 3 episode upload or what, but yeah,
Yeah.
after that batch, it's over. And like, damn, damn.
It's been a good season so
Oh,
far too.
yeah, dude, I've enjoyed it. I mean, Carlton, fucking Carlton. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's I've had a
Carlton's
lot of
best
fun with
moments
it.
this season have been dancing.
Yes, yes. We've kept up with St. Denis Medical, and I feel like I'm enjoying the second season on the whole more than the first. I feel like it's really like found its stride. I think you might have even used
Yes.
that phrase.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
It's
gotten
like
really
a
comfortable in its
Parks
own
and Rec
skin.
situation where it's like it doesn't really know what it wants to be early on, but once it figures it out, it runs with it and it's fantastic for it.
Yeah, dude, absolutely,
Low
for
key, it's
sure,
kind of the
for sure.
opposite thing that went on with AP Bio, which is really what we've spent most of the week watching. I feel like early on, like the first season, maybe 2 seasons, AP Bio really understood what it was and it ran home with it, and I thought it was fantastic. And now seasons 3 and 4 have just been weird, like almost anthological seasons, and it's almost hard to keep up with because of how weird some of the shit has gotten.
Agreed. If you would ask me like about AP Bio to the first 2 seasons, I'm like, watch this. It is a fucking gem that deserves its cult following. Season three maybe had 1 or 2 episodes that I liked, but the rest I was like, what are we even doing?
It
And season
feels like
four,
it's
I
gone
just
from a
yeah,
really good what's the opposite of episodic? Serialized. It feels like it's gone from
yeah,
a really good serialized classroom sitcom to white people Atlanta.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Look, this is gonna sound a bit mean spirited. I do still want to finish the show with you because we only have those 3 episodes left. but, like, I don't think it deserved to be canceled the first time because those first 2 seasons I think were really strong. I understand why it didn't get renewed after the 4th season. Like, I get it because if this is what you were doing, like, I just feel like it's lost its thematic coherence and its thematic strength, and I just really but, thankfully, individual characters still pop me. I still like Jack. I still love Heather. Grace pops me. Even Yu Yao has gotten a chuckle out of me. I like her too. But yeah, so
Oh,
it's one of those
apparently,
things.
Alex in chat got his family to watch The Studio on Apple TV, so that's really cool. We love that show.
That was great. Yeah, that was great. I had a lot of fun with that one. So we've been keeping up with yeah, you're right about AP Bio. We've been keeping up with that.
What have we
I
done
know we're
anything else this week? Like as a group, I feel like that's all we've done this week.
I don't think so because I know our next thing is going to be rewatching season 1 of Chainsaw Man for when that Razor
Yeah.
arc drops. Oh god, I'm so fucking excited for that. Holy shit. But yeah, I think that's essentially it. So yeah, I mean, do you want to talk about any music you've listened to this week?
Not really. I don't really have much to share, honestly. It's been a pretty quiet week for me for music. I have had a little bit of a sort of R&B lean this week. I know previously I was going more for like the folksy stuff, like the Benson Boone, Hosier, Noah Kahn, Conan Gray, that kind of stuff. And I have still listened to some of that this week, but I've leaned a little bit harder into like R&B and rap. Like I was really in the mood for some Childish Gambino the other day. I listened to a bunch of his stuff. Absolutely love his whatever the album is that Redbone is on.
Okay. Hmm.
Let me see if I can find it. Awaken My Love. That's the name of it. Absolutely love that album. It's fantastic. Um, Also, like Nelly. I think I mentioned Nelly on our last weekly recap, and I've been listening to him again more. Let me go back and see what my boops of the day have been this week,
Yeah.
because I did also have a recap, like you know how Spotify does Spotify Wrapped. Well, YouTube Music has something similar. That's just like a yearly recap, and I checked that out this week. Here we go on the 30th, meaning like literally like the day that we went live last Saturday to do this. Or no, actually
Yeah.
the 30th was Sunday. The 30th was Sunday. Last past Sunday. I posted a song "Hammer to the Heart" by Teddy Swims because the chorus of that song reminded me of "Short Change Hero" by The Heavy. And if you're unfamiliar with The Heavy, they are awesome. Their most popular song that you probably know of is "How You Like Me Now." You probably know that one.
Yes, yes. I think everybody knows that one.
Yeah, that's a really popular song, and that is The Heavy. And they have a lot of other really good music too. They're fantastic. My boop of the day on December 2nd was "The Feels" by Labyrinth, which is from Euphoria, I believe. The show Euphoria. I
Yes.
think Ace was talking about Euphoria, and really the only thing that I can relate to with that show is Labyrinth because he makes almost all of the music for that show. He's fantastic. I love his voice and his musical style both. I posted the Taylor Swift versus Sabrina Carpenter thing on the music channel too. I thought that was funny. Um,
Nice.
I posted a Noah Kahn song. It was his duet with Julia Michaels called "Hurt Somebody." And I don't think I posted any other boops of the day. Oh yeah, I did. 3005 by Childish Gambino, another great song.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think the only music I listened to again, Polo G came out with a new song, which was nice. I don't think anything like the Sid SIDH, which is like this bagpipe group. They dropped
Oh,
a new song, which like yeah, dude, they make such great instrumental music. Yeah, I fucking love them. Um, yeah. And so that's essentially it. So I guess we could get to Q&A
hell
if you
yeah.
want to pull up questions. So yeah, let's
Well,
do
we
it.
do only have 6 so far, and they're all from Super Blue.
Let's do it.
All right, first question from Super Blue. How do you feel about Black Friday now versus 15 to 25 years ago? I actually want to open with this because I saw a video this week that blew my goddamn mind. This woman was at Michael's. Do you know what Michael's is, John?
I've heard of Michael's, but I don't know too much about the store.
Okay. So Michael's is a craft store. It is basically a place that you can go to buy materials for crafts. It's like, yarn and like pipe cleaners and thread and just all kinds of different stuff for crafts, right? And this woman makes like miniature Christmas villages. And you go to Michael's and you can buy the little like individual houses. And she was looking at one of the houses, and online, this house was available for $6.49 in the months leading up to Black Friday. And then she goes into Michael's on Black Friday thinking, oh, I'll probably be able to get a 50% off deal. And she looks at this house that had been $649 on the website for the months leading up to this. And this house is listed at like double the price, like $12.99, but it's also listed at being 50% off at $12.99. So they're trying to say that this is a $26 item, but it's 50% off today, so you can get it for only $12.99, even though normally it's half of the supposed half price normally at $649. She thought she'd be able to get it for $324 or $325. She went in there and it was double the price she thought it should be, but listed at 50% off, meaning that Michaels was trying to claim that its normal list price was 4 times its actual normal list price and listing it at a fake markdown of 50% off to try and get people to buy it at a marked up price.
Jesus Christ.
That's like
That's crazy.
legitimately some of the most disgusting business practice I've ever seen in my life. And like I live here.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I honestly, for me, I always thought Black Friday was just kind of crazy, like why people would kill each other like over sneakers or TVs or whatever, and that doesn't really happen anymore, I guess, because most people do shopping online.
Listen,
But even
if
online,
it's
like yeah,
2006 and Wii's are available for 20% off, you fight people and stab people for them.
wow, okay, damn, all right. But but yeah, I was never really hip to it, and even now, like I'm a bookish guy, so like I'm not really a like a technophile or big on electronics. So and those are the things primarily that go on sale. So I'm like, okay. I think we benefited one Black Friday by getting a new TV when we needed one, and that was cool. But again, we didn't have to kill anybody to get it, so that was a plus. So yeah, I really don't have many feelings on Black Friday to be honest. So we can move on to the next question.
All right, next question from Super Blue. How would you, or not how, would you give up your ID to continue to use Discord or find another way around it?
Ambivalent on this question because part of me wants to say no, but then the other part of me is like, my digital footprint is already so large. What else would they need to know
Dude,
about me?
right? Exactly. Like I would love to not have to give my ID to be able to continue enjoying the perks that I've gotten used to at this point. But if the only thing standing between me being able to continue to have an online life and like social life in general and not is posting my ID, not posting, but like sending my ID to one of these giant corporations that already has all my data anyway, there's no reason not to, honestly.
Yeah, I'm pretty much fundamentally with you there.
Like there are so many
Um,
fronts
yeah,
that we can fight fascism on. This just isn't one that feels worth the fight to me.
yeah, yeah. I honestly, I think you said it perfectly. So I'm good to move on.
Third question from Super Blue. Why does Tennessee continue to drink the fascist Kool-Aid in spite of everything that the orange dumbass has done?
I mean, cults, cognitive dissonance. I mean, take your pick. Like, it really does amaze me that like deep red and also gerrymandering, I'm sure, and redlining, and I'm sure Tennessee has those problems too. If we look at actual like material causes, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot to overcome. Super Blue. That's the thing. We all, and even me. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, it's me and everybody else, but like, we all need to be so much more politically literate and just literate on like just socio-cultural matters and stuff like that to really fight this because it's not just a Trump bad thing, or it's not just red state stupid. Like there are leftists in Florida. There are well-meaning people that fight and risk in these deep red states, especially black activists. God knows now that lynchings are being fucking normalized again because again we live in hell. Um, yeah, so there are people like that fighting. So I feel and I used to do this too. I used to look at southern states and be like, oh, they're just all red states. They're all stupid, whatever. But no, like it's obviously more nuanced than that. And I think we need to always appreciate the nuance. Not saying you're not doing that, right? But I'm just saying when we look at Tennessee or a Florida or whatever, we need to really look at the conditions there that make things what they are. And yeah, I'm sure Tennessee has got its own structural problems and inequities and stuff like that that make it deep red and still compromise with Trump. And plus, this government was never meant for us anyway. Even the founders, like, were fucking wealthy landowners. It was never in the image of people like you and I, Super Blue. You know, and especially when you take into account like race and ability and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it was never made for black people, disabled people, whatever. There was always a paradigm, and we don't fucking fit it. So that's why we got to fight for it. Do you know anything about the Tennessee situation? Because I really haven't heard much coming out of that state. Um, so I'm guessing you haven't either, but I just always like to ask just in case.
No clue.
The oof from Super Blue. All right, next question from the man.
How does it feel knowing that Gunther was forced to use a new finisher to beat LA Knight? And then in parentheses, he said he also cheated and paid off the ref, but I digress.
I'm gonna say this as lovingly to you as possible, which probably isn't gonna be much because it's late, and I'm gonna turn crisp off so that you can hear it completely. You're insane. I think living in your mind must be a fantastical experience. I actually almost envy it if I wasn't so in love with my own mind because I'm devastatingly handsome. And as my cohort and commentator reminded me last night, also very talented.
Mm-hmm.
He did not cheat. He did not bribe the ref. No money changed hands. That again is insane. And as far as new finisher, he's used that submission before. I believe he's certainly beaten Xavier Woods. I remember he made Xavier Woods, I think, like sometime last year, maybe tap out with a submission like that. He's made people tap out before. I don't think he'll make John Cena tap out, but he
Damn,
didn't need
Super
to.
Blue. How does it feel knowing that LA Knight is on the same level as the only member of the New Day who never held a world title?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, true though. I mean, facts on facts, and stacks on stacks. So, I got to tell you, Super Blue, while we're on this subject, because I saw this question, I'm like, in the words of Big E, I'm gonna give it to him. I watched that
My
tap out,
first
and
top of the night. Thank you.
yeah, I watched that tap out an unhealthy amount. Like, I actually feel like it's gonna be as part of my kink repertoire here is just watching that fucking video. And I gotta say, and I know it's not true, right, quote unquote, but when he taps, Gunther shakes his head violently, like, yeah. And I want to believe that that's him vinegar stroking over his own dominance, because I would. I would if I was Gunther. But of course, he's a dignified man and the mat is sacred. So yeah, maybe if LA Knight wants opportunities, maybe don't fumble the ball when you actually get them. And of course, this is also knowing that it's booked in advance and Gunther was always going to win. But yeah, I mean, so I guess the more practical advice, knowing all of that, would be to use Super Blue. Never hope for anything, especially when it comes to LA Knight. He's old, he's winded, he gets blown up very quickly, and he practically is an AI generated promo because he rips off from pre-existing material, that being The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. He is the AI of professional wrestling, as I astutely pointed out last week. And look at that, still correct. So yeah, I do you have anything you want to add, sir?
Yeah, actually, before I even knew, because of you pointing this out, that he had used that finisher to win matches before, I was just going to say Gunther doesn't really need to use a new finisher because Gunther is the type of wrestler like Matanza in Lucha Underground where anything can be a finisher because of who he is, because he is Gunther. Kind of like how, like with Brock Lesnar, a German suplex can be a finisher. With Gunther, just about anything he does, if it's late enough into a match and his opponent is worn out enough, anything he does can be a finisher. He can beat you with a lariat. He can beat you with a power bomb. He can beat you with a splash. He can beat you with a submission. He can beat you with a really tight pin. Like, he's just that dude.
Yeah. I just want to state for the record that because I said I was going to start doing this, Super Blue said nah in the chat, and I replied with a clip of LA Knight tapping out. So I
Nice.
did say I was going to start doing that now. I am spreading it. I am spreading it like a fucking wildfire, baby, which LA Knight
Oh,
might have had at one time, but it has now been put out courtesy of Gonta. So, next question that hopefully is grounded in reality from
it
Super Blue,
is. It is
please.
actually very grounded in reality. This one is just for me. It specifically says for Ashton. Why would Lane, and this is referring to Lane Kiffin, for those of you who aren't aware of football stuff, Why would Lane abandon Ole Miss for LSU like a scumbag? And I actually have a very thorough and thought out answer for this. Unironically, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not just going to be like, fuck Lane Kiffin and end it. I'm actually going to give you an answer. This is who Lane Kiffin is. Lane Kiffin has historically always been on the lookout for the better paying job. He has a history of abandoning teams to seek career advancement. When he was an assistant coach for USC, he abandoned them to go coach the Raiders. When he was with the Raiders, Al Davis fired him publicly and then held a fucking public press conference where he basically showed receipts proving that most of the shit that Kiffin said to try and defend his own decisions were lies. So then he goes from the Raiders to the Volunteers for Tennessee, abandons them to go to USC as their head coach, and then within 4 years, I believe it was, gets fired and immediately again tries to upsell himself by joining Nick Saban's staff at Alabama, goes to Florida Atlantic, doesn't even last more than a year there. Or I think actually, you know what? He lasted 3 years there, I think. But then he again during December left them for Ole Miss in the first place. So like, let's not pretend that Ole Miss are entirely innocent in this. They did the exact same thing to Florida Atlantic back in 2019 with Kiffin by paying him in December before FAU's bowl game. And now Kiffin is again advancing his career. And apparently LSU paid him almost $100 million as a fucking coach to jump ship before Ole Miss got a chance to compete for the national championship. Not only is Lane Kiffin a scumbag, but every single one of these college administrators is a fucking scumbag as well. Fuck them all.
Amen, brother. Next question.
Is this our sixth question from? Yeah. Will you react to Cena's final match, and should he go over Gunther?
No, and I really don't care. Gunther wins, great. Gunther loses, it's Gunther. I think he would have to lose to somebody that was like a jobber for me to even think that his credibility has been hurt at all. But I don't think Cena's going to lose anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. I think it's going to be fine. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely agree that we're not going to react to it, but whether he should go over Gunther or not, I honestly don't think it matters. Um,
Yeah. I'm right there with
like
you.
if Cena wins, then I'm sure Gunther will still look great in the match, and it's not like Gunther is going to be harmed by losing to a legend. And if Cena loses, if Gunther does beat him, then that's just kind of like one more step towards being like a bull, big, sort of like top-notch level main event guy for Gunther. You know, like it's
Yeah.
I don't think that losing to John Cena is going to significantly obscure Gunther's ability to be a top guy in WWE.
Yeah, agreed.
I do think that it should have been a younger guy rather than Gunther, but
Yeah, and you know I'm agreed on that too. Absolutely. Yeah.
all
So
right. We do have questions from Alex Foster, or at least we have a question from Alex Foster. I know that he asked one at one point tonight. I just have to find
Super
it.
Blue, I think, added a new question as well, so we can do the Alex Foster question, but then, yeah, Super Blue asked another question. I think that was just for you as well. That was new, if I understood it correctly.
Um,
So,
yeah, I want to try and find this Alex Foster question. Here it is. No, that's not a question either. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to just copy over Alex Foster's question, and meanwhile, we can answer Super Blue's last question. With Duke ruining, and this is actually just for me, with Duke ruining everything, does the ACC get left out of the CFP? I don't know, maybe. Why do you think Duke ruined everything? Is Duke not allowed to do stuff without you thinking that they ruined stuff?
I guess that's on Super Blue now to answer. So,
Yeah, I honestly don't have an opinion on this at all. I do think it's pretty likely that the ACC gets left out of the college football playoff entirely. Um, but I don't really have a very strong opinion on the matter, honestly. Duke was previously unranked, and they beat Virginia, so I guess he's blaming Duke for beating the last ranked team in the ACC. He's like angry at Duke for that. I don't really understand why. They're just trying to play to win games, and you can't be upset at them. You should be upset at Virginia for losing to Duke. Virginia is the team to blame here, but it's not like they lost on purpose either. They just tried and failed. That kind of stuff happens. So, moving on though to our one Alex Foster question.
Yeah.
Um, if Tony D isn't the Don anymore, what character could he take on that would get you guys interested?
I don't really know.
I think for me, I don't know if there's really a character that Tony D could take on that would get me interested, because my problem has never been with his character. My problem has always been a combination of him being booked too strongly and just him as a performer being kind of a weird, like, almost paradox wrestler where, like, he's a 5'10" guy who wrestles like a powerhouse, and then like he
Yeah.
goes up against like legit powerhouses like Oba, and we're just expected to buy that he can win those matches, and I just don't get it. I don't like that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, your gimmick doesn't really matter to me at that point.
I think just given how we received him, I just go back to my fantasy booking. I'd like to see him be a disciple of Aleister Black. And as far as a character that I would like to see him be again, I really don't know. I like the Don character because I'm really into mafia shit. I don't really know. Honestly, the only other thing, because he does have a wrestling background, maybe be a part of American Made. I think that would have been something that could have been very unique, him working with Chad and stuff. But that's it.
I
That's the
miss
only thing I
Chad.
could really think of. Dude, I miss him so much. I think that's the only thing that I could really give like a substantive answer to without completely dismissing your question, Foster. So yeah.
I think we're
Any other
done.
questions? All right, high spots and low shots. I'm gonna keep it to wrestling because I watched enough of it, I think, to make that work. So I won't have to think about life stuff. My low shot, I'm gonna say, is Tatum Paxley. She lost to Izzy, and I thought she looked pretty weak doing it. Just from a character standpoint. So I'm gonna say Tatum is my low shot. Who is your low shot?
My low shot's going to be Ricky Saints, given that he not only lost his NXT championship tonight, but also lost an opportunity to try and beat Cody Rhodes on Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, high spot for me, easiest high spot I've given in a long time. I'm gonna say Kendall Gray. What a fucking showing. Went the fucking distance and wins the goddamn thing while she's Evolved Women's Champion. I mean, goddamn, if that's not WWE saying we see something in you, I don't know what is, and she earned it too. The crowd's behind her. She's a great performer. I'm all about it. It's good shit. So who's your high spot?
Um, I mean, I guess I'll go for the low hanging fruit, and I'll say my high spot is Gunther. He tapped LA Knight out, and he's going to get to be John Cena's last match. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. All right. Well, with that said, guys, this has been the weekly recap. Leave a like as you file out. Subscribe to the bell icon notifications so you miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Blue Sky and Twitch because we are the best podcast in all of YouTube. Yeah, because again, we're not really a wrestling podcast anymore, although we did talk more wrestling than we have in a minute tonight. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. If you're only here for this series, it's every Saturday at 10:30.
PM EST.
10:30 p.m. EST. That is correct. Thank you for specifying. And beyond that, I'm guessing Monty Gold reactions at some point this week. I know we'll
Probably.
definitely have Stardom.
Definitely start him on Thursday. Yeah.
Definitely Stardom on Thursday. So Monty Gold may. Did you even say no? Do we have no Monty Gold this week, or is it a maybe on Monty Gold?
No,
Because
I
Stardom's
said
definite.
I don't even know what I said, but Marigold is a pretty likely thing. I don't know for sure though.
Yeah. Yeah. So Monty Gold likely, Stardom definitely. We'll put that in. Stardom is
Yeah.
7 p.m. EST
There you
on
go.
Thursdays. So be there for that. And yeah, with Monty Gold, just keep up with the Discord. That's $3